Welcome into the Commanders Report by Chat Sports, presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and yesterday the Washington Commanders' official 2026 schedule was released by the National Football League, and today I'm going to be sharing my first 2026 Commanders record prediction as we head into the rest of this 2026 offseason in preparation for what's going to be a pivotal 2026 campaign for the Burgundy and Gold. Now, before we get into my record prediction today and I walk you through my entire predictions for all 17 games this year for the Commanders, make sure you give me your prediction for the Washington Commanders' record for the 2026 campaign to kick us off. All right, so we'll start here with Week 1 versus the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. Really tough place to play. Obviously, Jaden Daniels is probably going to need a little bit of time here early on in the season to kind of get used to this pro-style offense and really settle into it. And even though the Eagles are kind of doing something similar, running a McVay-style offense this year with their new offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts has never really run anything like that. I honestly think this could be a defensive football game, but with the Eagles at home, Jalen Hurts' ability to deliver in the fourth quarter pretty consistently, especially in their building, I think that the Eagles come away with the victory in Week 1. And then, unfortunately, I once again have the Commanders taking a loss in Week 2 here against the Cowgirls. Obviously, the Cowboys, this is really year 2 of the Brian Schottenheimer type of thing. I think that Christian Parker, their new defensive coordinator, huge upgrade over Matt Eberflus, and I think that they're going to hit the ground running pretty darn good to start this season. And I think that they're going to be a very formidable threat in the NFC East. And obviously the Commanders still early in the season. Jaden probably still going through some of his lumps, working from under center. I'm going to have the Commanders take a loss there in Week 2, as well as in Week 3. Not a great start for our Washington Commanders here with an 0-3 start. The Seattle Seahawks are a really good team, right? They are a well-oiled machine. Obviously, they got some new coordinators there with Clint Kubiak leaving. But I do think that Sam Darnold and that crew will do a good enough job to beat the Commanders on their home turf there in Week 3. Then in Week 4, you travel to London. This is where I'm going to project the Commanders to get their first win. I think it's actually going to be a really close game. I think that the Colts are a good and formidable football team, and I'm going to project that Jaden Daniels delivers a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter to deliver the Commanders' first dub of the 2026 campaign. Now, let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Are you going to a Commanders game of some variety this year? Home, away, international? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section on if you plan on going to a Commanders game this season. Now, before we get into the rest of my record prediction here for the Washington Commanders, I want to tell you about our presenting sponsor here at PrizePicks, which is America's #1 sports picks app. Playoff basketball is still here, folks, but it won't be around forever. There's no better place to cash in during playoff season with our friends at PrizePicks. The app is super easy to use. You just pick more than or less than on a few player stat projections and then lock in your lineup. And if basketball isn't your thing, they have a ton of other sports to choose from as well, with a number of different stat projections to choose from to truly customize your daily fantasy lineups. You guys can take a look here at this basketball projection that I have going. I'm taking the more on points for James Harden, the less on points for Anthony Edwards, the more on points here for Castle, and the more for Wembanyama here. So one thing that I love about the PrizePicks app, guys, is the social feeds feature, where you can share PrizePicks lineups with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. And you can actually follow me on the app as well, at CSperry, to see all of my lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with our friends at PrizePicks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app. And a big thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the Commanders Report. Here in Week 5, coming back from London, that's a little bit of a disadvantage there in my opinion, especially going up against a division rival like the New York Giants, but I am going to project another close victory for the Washington Commanders and another game-winning drive delivered by Jaden Daniels. Then in Week 6 versus the 49ers, I'm going to have the Commanders get their third straight win. I do project that Brandon Ayuk will be a part of this football team this year, and that's going to be an awesome revenge game opportunity for Ayuk. I think that the Commanders deliver him a big-time dub, and Ayuk goes absolutely off to get this team back to 500, heading into the bye week in Week 7. But then you get a tough game versus the Eagles. Once again, I'm going to have the Commanders win here. 4 straight wins after losing their first 3 games. I'm going to have them split versus the Eagles. The Commanders are going to be well-rested. They're going to be well-prepared. It's going to be in front of a national audience. I think this time around, Jaden Daniels is more more comfortable in this offense at this point in the season, and he ends up delivering the dub versus Jalen Hurts and the Birds. Now, unfortunately, I will have them take a loss the following week here to get back to 500, losing to the Los Angeles Rams at home. But then in Week 10 against the Giants, once again, I'm going to have them take a loss on a short week. I do think that the Commanders and Giants will split this year. I think the Giants will be a bit more formidable than they have been in years past. Then in Week 11 versus the Bengals, I think this is going to be a fun football game, Burrow versus Daniels. But at home, Monday Night Football, I think that Jaden Daniels is going to go absolutely off, even though that Bengals defense has improved since the last time we faced the Bengals a couple seasons ago. But I think that'll be a very fun game to watch, and the Commanders will come away victorious. I'll also have them win versus the Cardinals in the desert. Don't see the Cardinals being much of a threat this year, even at home. Then Week 13 against the Titans. Similar here, I do think the Titans will be a bit more formidable this year with Robert Saleh and Cam Ward going into his second year, and Brian Dable is their offensive coordinator than they've been in years past, but that roster still needs a lot of work. I think the Commanders come away with a third straight victory there in Week 13 on the road. Now, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon here because we're about to get into the home stretch of this 2026 season for the Washington Commanders. But if you appreciate our hard work here on the Commanders Report to get you guys free and informative Commanders content every single day, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon to help out today's show. Then in Week 14, I'll have the Commanders win their fourth straight game here with a warm weather team in the Houston Texans that plays indoors usually coming to Washington here in Landover. And, you know, I think that C.J. Stroud's somebody that really struggles in cold weather. It'll be in December by this point in the year. So I think the Commanders get a big-time win there against the Texans. And I also think they'll get a win versus the Falcons. They're at home. It's an outdoor game. Another warm weather team that plays indoors. You got a quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, another quarterback that has struggled traditionally in cold weather games. So I think that, this is a great opportunity here for the Commanders to get their fifth straight win in the best stretch of the regular season for them. Unfortunately, I will have them lose on the road in Minnesota. Tough place to play. I do think Kyler Murray will at least be functional in the Kevin O'Connell offense at this point in the season. That Brian Flores defense, is going to be flying around. So it could be a very competitive game. Could go either way, but I will go the Minnesota Vikings here in Week 16, as well as the Jaguars on the road in Jacksonville in Week 17. Very good football team, well-coached team. They were able to hang on to both of their coordinators from this past year in Grant Udinski, and then I'm blanking on their defensive coordinator right now, but he did a very good job with that defense last year, and I think that that Jacksonville Jaguars team could be very dangerous this season, especially at home. Then in the season finale, if the Commanders need it to win the division or make the playoffs, I'm going to have them win that game at home. Another warm weather football team, that plays in a dome stadium, coming here to Washington late in the year when it's cold and it's windy and all that stuff. I think the Commanders at that point in the season will be used to it. The Cowboys will not be. I'm going to have the Commanders split versus the Dallas Cowboys this year and finish their season out on a high note. So you guys can take a look here at my initial 2026 record prediction for the Washington Commanders. 3 straight losses and 3 really tough games to start their season. But then I have them winning a close game versus the Colts in London in Week 4, then turning around and beating the Giants in another close one in Week 5, beating the 49ers in the Brandon Ayuk revenge game in Week 6, then beating the Eagles in Week 8 after the bye, getting their revenge after losing in Week 1. Then Week 9 and 10 taking losses to the Rams and Giants respectively, but then ripping off 5 straight wins right when you really want to get hot towards the end of the season here. Then 2 straight losses against 2 formidable opponents on the road, and then finishing out your season with a win at home versus the Cowgirls, which would result in a record of 10-7 for the Washington Commanders this year. Now, I'm sure, some people are hoping that this team can, get up to 11 or 12 wins or something like that, and Jaden Daniels is going to completely light the world on fire for the entirety of the season. I just think it's going to take a little bit for this offense to kind of hit its groove with Jaden Daniels playing under center more than he ever has in his football playing career. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for this team to heat up, but as we've shown throughout this video, I expect this team to heat up in the second half of the season as this this team kind of gels with their new schemes and all that different stuff. And hopefully by the end of this thing, we're talking about this team as a double-digit win team and a potential playoff team heading into January. So true or false? Let me know down there in the comment section. The Commanders will make the playoffs this year. Give me a T if you think that statement is true. Type F if you think that statement is false. Certainly think it's a possibility for the Washington Commanders, but I think it'll be definitely a battle to make sure that you can make the postseason this year. Now make sure you type those real ones down there in the comment section if you haven't already. If you're with this team no matter what as they try to build their next great football team here in Washington. If you made it to the end of today's show, I want to give you some love down there in the comments, so type those real ones in all caps if you haven't already. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report by Chat Sports. We're going to have more videos come out throughout the course of the weekend surrounding this football team, so if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications so you know when new videos come out on our channel. Until next time, guys, go raise some hail.